everybody, it's Janet and welcome to my channel. Today I'm here for CutCardStock and I'm going to show you how to make this really cute slider bunny card for Easter. Isn't it adorable? This is a pattern I bought on the Silhouette Design store and it's available there as an SVG if you wanted to cut it with one of your other cutters as well. There are print and cut pieces in this pattern and I used the Curious Metallic Cryogen White that I got from CutCardstock. This is an 89-pound weight, so it's got some good weight to it, but it's not so thick that it couldn't go through my printer. I use a Canon MX922. But I wanted to show you the back of this because I made a mistake and printed on the back. And it's a solid print, as you can see, and it printed beautifully. But also, it didn't show through on the other side, so I was able to reuse this paper, even though I had messed it up on the one side, to print the pieces that I used in this card, and you cannot tell the difference. This cardstock has a shimmery quality to it. Here's a close-up of the carrot. It really shows that glittery finish, and you can see just how pretty that is when it catches the light. It isn't quite as bold as what's shown here, but it is noticeable. So I think it adds a really nice touch to everything. The rest of this card was cut out using the basis line that CutCardstock sells. It's an 80-pound cardstock in various colors. This color is medium blue and this one is called green. And then I used two pieces of the light yellow cardstock to cut both the card base and the matching envelope, which is part of the cut file when you buy it. And you'll see more of the envelope when I put it together in a few moments. Other products from CutCardstock that I used was the Cerise adhesive foam strips, and they are used to create the channel that the mechanism runs through. And then I also used some score tape from Score Pal, and this was used to connect the bunny on the slider so that it would be well adhered and not fall off easily when the mechanism is being used. Other products not from CutCardstock is this 3M foam tape, and it's about the same height as the Cerise foam strips. So I used it as filler in the back of the card so I didn't have to use these precious strips, which come in handy for many specialty projects like window wells for shakers and so forth. But then I also used a bit of wet glue. This is my go-to art glitter glue, and then some scissors from Tonic Studios. And then I used Distress Oxide ink and faded jeans to ink up the edges of my clouds, which were also cut in Cryogen White. So let's go ahead now and show you the pieces that were cut in this file and how I put it together. This is the card base and the matching envelope, and these two pieces both come in the cut file. Here's the front of the card with the slider slits cut into it, and I embossed this with a pattern to kind of resemble wind in my mind. And then this is the grass piece that I also ran through a Swiss dot embossing folder. And finally, the pieces that make the pull mechanism. The print then cut elements include the rabbit, the carrots, the 3 eggs, and even the little sentiment. It also includes this little fold over piece that goes on the end of the mechanism that says pull. It even has a little arrow to indicate to the recipient that they should pull it to the right. There are 3 clouds that are not print and cut. I just cut them on Cryogen White and used my Distress Oxide to trim up the edges in blue to make them stand out just a little more. I'm going to put the envelope together first. It's the easiest. You just need a strip of some wet glue on each side, fold it up, and press down. If any excess glue comes out, of course, you can just remove that with the edge of your finger. Here's another really great use for score tape. You can use it as your envelope sealer. All you need to do is apply a strip to the top of your envelope, and then when you're ready to use it, you just peel off the covering, the paper covering on that, close it, and it's sealed tight. The pull mechanism has 2 pieces, and the second piece goes on top of the other. It gives it some reinforcement so that if your cardstock is a little bit light, it will be strong enough to push and pull without bending. You could attach this with score tape or wet glue. I chose to use wet glue. At this point, I'm going to insert my mechanism through the slits of the card front. And the way you do that is you use those little slits, or little tabs rather, that were cut into the mechanism so that each tab sticks out of the slit, one on each side. And then we're going to use that little piece that's shown in the right-hand corner of my screen to attach to these tabs, and that's what's going to allow my rabbit to slide back and forth. I cut tiny slivers off that 1/4 inch score tape and put them on the tabs. This is going to ensure a really strong glue adhesion to the top piece that's going to be attached to the tabs. I rubbed my fingernail on that score tape just to make sure it was really adhered well, and then peeled off the backing paper. And now I can put the little top piece that's going to be the base really for the rabbit to sit on right across those two, and of course it spans across the slits, and then we'll allow the whole thing to move back and forth. And now you just really need to break in the mechanism. It will slide very difficultly at first, but what you need to do is just run it back and forth similarly to how I'm doing it here, and after a few times it's going to become much easier to move. So I would recommend you do this at this step rather than waiting till the whole card is together and then trying to break it in. But as you can see, it's getting easier and easier as I do this, even here, and I did it a bit longer than I'm showing on camera. Now is a good time also to apply the little pull message at the end of the mechanism. You could do this before you attach the mechanism to the card front too, but either way you want to do it before it gets attached to the card base so that you have full access to the mechanism. I will take a moment now too to apply the grass, and you'll notice that this is only embossed part way. That's because I knew it was going to be covered up, so I didn't see the point of doing the whole piece. But this is going to go on the edges of the card, matching the bottom and sides, and then also checking to make sure it's not going to get in the way of your mechanism. Carefully flip over this piece, making sure that the mechanism remains straight, and use these strips from Derice to create the channel for your slider mechanism. This is a fantastic and perfect use of these thin strips to create a nice smooth channel. I mentioned that I bought this file from the Silhouette Design Store, but it's a Lori Whitlock file, and she includes videos of instructions for most of her work. However, in her example, she did not use any foam tape at all. She just glued it directly onto the card base, avoiding the mechanism area. But I found that that really made it extremely tight. And also these little strips of foam stop the mechanism from moving around very much. And in the original version that she shows, it not only moves around, but it kind of gets stuck in the adhesive in the back a little bit, or at least it sticks. And I just think that the use of the foam tape is a much better way to make this card, and these strips are just perfect. Now, to fill out the back of this, I'm not going to use my strips because just regular 3M tape is going to be a great filler, give me the stability I need, and it is almost the same depth as the strips, so it works really well together. So I'm going to apply that, and then I will go ahead and put it on my card base. So now I've applied all my foam tape and I've taken off the backing, and I'll go ahead and apply it on my card front, being as careful as I can to center that tab and also make sure that I get about 1/4 inch of space around the whole piece. I applied a little bit of foam tape on that mechanism top so that my bunny can stand up, and when that's ready I can apply the bunny. I'm going to put it at an angle so that it looks like he's or she is hopping. So then you can pull your bunny over to the right so you get an idea of where you want the carrot treat. This is, after all, what the bunny is hopping to get to, and it's at the end of the slider portion of the card. I used some foam tape on the back of this as well. Now I can apply the Print Then Cut Happy Easter sentiment. That's going to go in the lower left-hand corner of the card. Next, lay out the eggs in the approximate position you want them to be in and just apply them with wet glue. Then you can apply your clouds. I chose again just to use wet glue to attach them to the card front as well. Now here's my prototype card that I made following the directions of Lori Whitlock, where I did not use any foam tape, and it just pulls a lot harder. Sure, it works. If you don't have the foam tape, you can make do, but it just does not slide as easily and comfortably as it does with the foam tape. So I much prefer this method over the original. Regardless, these are super cute and sure to tickle anyone that you give these cards to. Enjoy them! Thank you for visiting with me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and here are some other videos I think you might like. Until next time, keep crafting, my friends!